Hello, my gorgeous familia. Let me first off just say thank you, because recording this podcast, sharing this information with you, connecting with so many of you has been such a gift in my life. And speaking of that, I just set up a Patreon. So if you're loving this and if you're following along, if you're learning, if you're sharing, if you're growing with me, I would love if you showed the love. You can visit patreon.com/dropitlikeitsdoc. Show me a little love. Fun thing is, this is just the beginning. So there's about to be some exclusive content on there. So if you are interested in that as well, check it out. And regardless, I love you and I so appreciate you. So thanks for being on this journey with me. We going up. What up, fam? I am Dr. DeLuna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about your sweet little adrenals and talking about the signs and symptoms that you need to look out for. That is your body's way of telling you that they need some love. So my friends, you actually have two cutesy little adrenal glands, one on each side of your back. They sit on top of the kidneys. And that's interesting because they talk with the kidneys and they help the kidneys specifically with fluid balance in your body. And they do this through electrolytes. So there's a few signs and symptoms that alone, that little physiological little nugget is going to give us a window into, because your body is always talking to you. And I think that we got used to, as a collective, just silencing symptoms and making them go away by taking a pill or getting a treatment or something like that. But the more that you push these things deeper in the body, that's exactly what they do. They just get deeper and then they're gonna get louder. And when the adrenals get loud, you actually just get exhausted. So let's talk about some signs and symptoms that you may experience that you think is normal. That is a sign that your adrenals are unhappy, okay? And let me also say that your body is amazing and that your body can bounce back from anything. Your body can heal from anything, but you need to acknowledge the way that you are contributing to your imbalance, the way that you are contributing to your disease, if you didn't catch that. So your sweet adrenals do quite a few things. They make cortisol. As a collective, we like cortisol. However, many of us don't have enough cortisol, and these are the symptoms that you would experience if you don't have enough cortisol. You can't even wake up. Waking up in the morning may take an hour for you to even open your precious little eyes, get out of bed, and be ready to do anything. Because cortisol does that. It wakes you up and it gets you ready for the day. It gets you jumping out of bed. If you are not one of those people, and if you could just snooze and go back to sleep, snooze and go back to sleep, your cortisol is probably low. Cortisol should be the highest when we wake up and slowly decrease throughout the day. But some of you get a second wind at like 9 p.m. That's a sign that your adrenal glands aren't working as well as you want them to. If you have low cortisol in the morning and can't wake up, and then if you get a little spike before you go to sleep, that is a sign that your adrenals are in survival mode. So not ideal. If you are someone that you can't function without caffeine, and trust me, my babes, I love coffee. It's a beautiful spiritual experience for me, but I don't need coffee. I drink it because I want to drink it. And I even test myself and won't drink it to see, do I get a headache? Am I tired? Is my productivity down? And if it is, that's a sign that the adrenals are, on the edge of collapse. And something like medical school, I'm sure you can imagine, is just a little bit stressful. So my adrenals have been through a lot. But if you need coffee to get anything done, if you're like, don't talk to me until I drink my coffee, then it's because when you drink that coffee, what it does is it kisses your adrenal glands and it goes poof, and you release adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. And that might be your way of kind of pushing your adrenals to release something that they don't have enough of. So you need to watch out for that. If your energy is not following that typical rhythm where it's the highest in the morning and the lowest at night, adrenals are to blame. Something else that can show up with your adrenals is that you can feel really wired at night. That's the wired and tired feeling. And that's going to directly impact your sleep. If you can't sleep at night because it's hard for you to turn your mind off, that could absolutely be related to your adrenals. And to take it even a step deeper, that's usually or oftentimes related to your blood sugar, because blood sugar influences the adrenals. Because sugar is fuel. Sugar is fuel for the brain. And if the brain doesn't feel like it has enough fuel, that's kind of an issue. And it will tickle the adrenal glands to make adrenaline. Why? because the adrenal glands, when they make these compounds, these stimulating compounds, they swim around your blood and start to release sugar from its stores. So from your muscles and from your liver, glycogen. And if that's happening at night, you're gonna feel the adrenaline in your body and it's going to be hard to go to sleep. A telltale sign is if you wake up at 3 in the morning every night. If you wake up at 3 a.m. just wired and ready to go, that's a sign that your adrenals released a lot of cortisol and adrenaline while you were sleeping to stabilize your blood sugar. So you need to work on blood sugar support because that goes directly into your adrenals' capacity to handle stress, because that's what they're there to do. They're there to handle stress. So if you're someone that, says yes to everything, that throws yourself into a fire that you don't even want to be in, your adrenals are going to have to adapt to that, and it can impact your metabolic health, your blood sugar. So another sign of cortisol being super off is if you predominantly gain weight in your lower belly. This is a complaint I get a lot. And honestly, when I was really, really stressed out, that's where I gained weight. And that's how I know that my body is really going through it. And it's because cortisol tells your body to store weight in certain parts of your body. So it's pretty indicative of that type of imbalance. And I work with a lot of women that honestly starve themselves because they were told that that's how they lose weight. And any type of caloric deficit is an immense stress that your body has to adapt to. So instead of your body burning through its fat stores because you're at a calorie deficit, what happens is that you are releasing so much cortisol to survive that your body will then actually store the fuel instead of burning the fuel. Do you see what you did there? So often I get my babes to just eat more, to eat breakfast, to eat throughout the day, and they actually lose a lot of weight, but there's always that there's no way moment. There's this moment where they look at me terrified, being like, I'm gonna eat that much every day. Yeah, especially if you're working out a lot. Like people that do a lot of high intensity interval training know that most of the time your body actually doesn't want that, especially if you're someone that cycles, because there are certain times of the menstrual cycle that energetically you just should not be putting that much out, specifically in the luteal phase, because if that happens, your body will need to adapt to that stressor with cortisol. Are you kind of picking up on the theme here? Cortisol will show up whenever you need to adapt. Low blood sugar, low sleep, diet that is off, over exercising. So you will see that show up in your sleep, in the way that your body holds weight and whatnot. Other signs that your adrenals really need some love is that if your other hormones go out of whack. So if you get irregular periods and if you're under stress, that's a sign that your hormones are favoring the stress response over favoring reproduction, because making a baby, I don't have one yet, I will soon, but making a baby apparently is astronomically stressful. So if that is something that your body knows could happen, it's gonna shut down your hormones. So if you are like, I don't ovulate every month, or sometimes my cycles are short, sometimes they're long, it could be because your stress is hindering that whole reproductive process. So there's something that you need to look out for. Like I said earlier, your adrenals are also governing fluid. So this was something that actually came up for me. Just picture it. Really stressed out Ashley. I was a vegan at this time. I was in med school. I was a vegan. I was sleeping. I've always been really good at sleeping, but I was stressed to the brim. I like to describe medical school to people that are like, yeah, I might become a naturopathic doctor. I'm like, are you ready to feel like you've been shot out of a cannon every day? Are you ready to run for 4 years? Because if you're not ready to run, it's not a walk in the park. It's actually incredibly stressful. So I was doing that, and I was also teaching hot yoga. I love yoga. Yes, it's supposed to decrease stress, but you know what else happens when you're in hot yoga? You sweat a lot. Like a lot. And your body losing that much fluid and then repleting and hydrating, that's a stress, right? That's something that your body has to adapt to. So for me, my adrenals were fucking freaking out during that time. So I actually stopped doing hot yoga, just a little fun fact. But going back to the hydration piece, if your electrolytes are off, because your adrenal glands also make a hormone called aldosterone. They don't just make cortisol, epinephrine, norepinephrine, they make aldosterone as well, and DHEA. We'll get there soon. But aldosterone actually is governing how much fluid is in your body. So it tells your body to hold on to some minerals and to release other minerals, and water follows minerals. So if your hormones are off in your adrenals, and if they're favoring cortisol, or if they're just clutching for dear life, you might pee all the time. Peeing frequently is also a common sign of mold. If you've listened to my mold talk, you'll know that, like if you do the pee-pee dance and can't hold your pee in. But it could definitely be a sign of adrenal stuff. So if it doesn't make sense to you how much you're peeing versus how much you're drinking, that's an issue. That's an issue. You need the fluid because even losing that fluid is stressful. You see? I see that a lot, honestly. Some other things that can show up if your sweet adrenals need some love is that you could just have, waves of anxiety throughout the day because your adrenals, they are making hormones that make you feel alert, but you want it to be in a time when you need to be alert, right? Not if someone like honks at you on the highway. You shouldn't feel sweaty. You shouldn't feel soaked because your adrenal glands also help and talk to the sympathetic nervous system. And adrenaline makes you sweaty, mainly in your hands, your feet, and your armpits. So if you find yourself just stinky and sweaty all the time, it could be your adrenals being like, please help me. The other hormone that the adrenals make is DHEA. DHEA is technically an androgen, meaning that it helps you have male sex characteristics. However, women have them, men have them, all genders, you have DHEA, okay? But if your stress goes up and your body is pumping out DHEA, something that can happen is that you can get hair growing. You could get a little beard, you could get a little mustachio, and that can show up as period changes because as DHEA goes up, it impacts all of the other hormones in your body. So that's something that you definitely need to look out for. Something that I meant to mention when I was talking about the caffeine piece, if you need it to wake up in the morning, not only is that truly squeezing your adrenal glands to release any remaining hormones that they have, but it's also dehydrating you. This is super important for you to know, my friends, because your internal world governs the state of adaptation that your adrenals have to make. For every 1 cup of water that you drink, you're peeing out 2 cups of water. So if you are just dehydrated in general, that's gonna throw your electrolytes off, that's gonna throw your adrenal hormones off, and everything else is gonna kind of follow that suit of imbalance. So with the electrolytes being off and with that gross dehydration, what can happen is you can also get dizzy. So if you have low blood pressure, I have low blood pressure. It was way lower in med school, I'll tell you that much. But if you have low blood pressure, what could happen, and this is something I see often, is that if when you're sitting, you feel fine, and then you'll get up quick, or if you're a yoga teacher and you're leaning down to adjust someone, if you do that, and then you get up and you get lightheaded, or you feel like you're gonna black out and you see stars, that could be that your blood pressure is low, secondary to your adrenals not keeping enough fluid in your systemic circulation. And that fainting feeling is because there's not enough blood going to your precious brain, which is also incredibly important because if there's not enough blood going to your brain, that's a stress that's just going to kiss your adrenal glands. You see the little cycle that we're going down here? Other signs that your adrenals are upset are craving sugar. Sugar is our immediate form of energy. So it's all your cells can use glucose from sugar to make energy. And if your body is low on energy because your cortisol is no longer bioavailable to help you wake up and get shit done, then your body is going to really crave just quick energy sources. So usually when you're really, really stressed, think about it. When you're really, really stressed, what do you want? You want sweet and you want salty. So those 2 cravings are definitely a sign that your adrenals want some love and support. Sweet for the blood sugar piece, salty for the electrolyte piece. So whoever told you to not put salt on anything or that salt was going to kill you is wrong. A lot of us are actually very depleted in minerals, and that alone can be stressful on the adrenals. The adrenals need salt, they need minerals, they need electrolytes. Your blood needs it to have an adequate blood pressure. All the fluid in your body needs some salt in there. So some things that you might be doing that are impacting your cortisol, because those are just many common signs, right? But why is it happening? Because you're doing shit that you actually don't want to do. Every time that you say yes to something that you know you should not be doing, your adrenals go, oh God, now we got to adapt to this. And you really want your body to feel smooth. You want energetically to not feel that jolt. That is a no. Know that if you feel that in your body, that's your body saying no. When you say yes to that, that's an issue. Not sleeping, because if you're not sleeping, all your hormones will be off and your adrenals are going to have to really adapt to that, right? Regular eating habits because of the blood sugar piece. So many humans, like I said, just truly starve themselves. They don't eat breakfast at all. Then they just have coffee. And then around 1 p.m. when they're cusping a panic attack, They will eat like a protein bar. That's not enough. It's not enough. And if you are the person who's like, no, doctor, I don't want to gain weight, I promise you, you're gonna lose weight. The more you eat, the more your body burns. It's just as simple as that. It's a really fun game to play. And it's a really fun thing for you to experience too, because food creates this sense of safety. And the adrenals are trying to adapt to things that don't feel safe. And that's the way that I want you to start to think about these things. Not sleeping creates a sense of not being safe. Not having enough food creates a sense of not being safe. Caffeine, whether you want to accept it or not, creates a sense that some of your cells aren't safe. It creates this hypervigilance mode. And some people were raised in a very traumatic environment in which neurologically they are just wired to be more high strung. These people need more adrenal love, more adrenal, foundation, more safety, because that is then less that your body is going to have to show up to and manipulate. Other things that you might be doing that your adrenal glands are like, please fucking stop, is working out when you don't want to work out. Your body actually heals when you rest, I'm a really big fan of resting. So if you are pushing your body to do something super high intensity when all you want to do is sleep, that is now a stressor that you're going to have to adapt to. So it's fun talking about health because for me, even as I say these words out loud, it reminds me that our lifestyle matters and that we really do have a lot of power. The world of herbs is incredible, especially for the adrenal glands. And this is not medical advice because, for instance, licorice, one of the best herbs in the world for the adrenal glands, will increase your blood pressure. So you can't just be like, Mom, your adrenals need help. Why don't you take this licorice? I heard a doctor talk about it on a podcast. What if Mama has high blood pressure? She should not be taking that. So anytime that you are going to be integrating in herbal treatments, I would always recommend doing it with a provider that can help guide you. However, know that lifestyle and herbs really do help these sweet adrenals. Adaptogens are just a group of herbs that help you adapt. Adapt to what? To stress. So whether it's stress of your life or self-induced stress, these herbs help. If you are in any stressful time of your life, even if you're like, I got it, just take adaptogen herbs, okay? It's gonna work for you. It's gonna help your body navigate that and metabolize all the excess cortisol in your precious body. And truly, if you just ate more, slept more, and said no when you actually want to say no, let yourself rest when your body wants to rest, and then, listen to the signals as far as how hungry and how thirsty you are, your adrenals are going to start to come back to life. But if your I'll sleep when I'm dead mindset isn't getting you there, it's because it's actually contributing to the demise of your sweet adrenals. So if you ever want to work with someone who knows herbs, I would definitely recommend a naturopathic doctor because we are trained in herbs and also pharmacological methods. And those things do interact because, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't say this. If you are someone that takes Adderall every day, that is destroying your adrenal glands. I can't believe I forgot that one, but I'm so happy. Anything that you put in your body or don't put in your body can impact your adrenal glands and ask them to adapt. I'm not saying that it's not helping you, this medication. It probably is. If you're taking it all the time, it might be helping you. But if you're trying to work on adrenal stress and then taking something that makes your adrenals go crazy every day, that's not going to work. So I just want to touch base on that. And then also, if you are someone on any medication, don't just take a random herbal tincture that you find in the store because herbs are medicine. So my angels, those are most of the things that I want you to look for adrenal help. If your adrenals want help, I really recommend that you listen to that because when you're first working on adrenal health, you almost feel like you're in a hypervigilant state because your body's just pumping out cortisol, trying to help you adapt. So you're gonna feel on edge, you might feel wired, you might not be able to sleep, but eventually those little adrenals are gonna go nights. And when your adrenals go nights, you're gonna be fucking exhausted. And it's gonna take a lot of nourishment for you to come back. It can definitely happen. It can. But how about you just listen to your body before you get to the point of adrenal sleepy time? Yes? Thank you all for listening. I hope that this podcast did not bring your adrenals any stress. I hope that it brought them ease. And I am here for you in all the ways. If you liked this episode, please share it with anyone that you think would benefit from it. And we're just going to keep on talking about all things health because I love you. And this is what I'm here for. Thanks for tuning in.